Let's dive in, though, and look back before we look forward. As we do each and every week here, we look back at the weekend that was, and we find out what we learned from this past weekend. Matt, we'll start with you this week. What did you learn this past weekend?
That college football is still drunk. They are riding a 12-week bender, and they are showing no signs of changing anything. I mean, we had how many upsets, how many top 10 losses that we shouldn't have seen, and the one that we all knew was coming. Hello, Indiana. But I think that we've just seen that the parity continues to shine through now as we are in the era of paying our players, as we rightly should be doing.
Yeah, and I'll hit the clap.
Rightly so.
To that one, but yeah, I think the kind of the real theme, and we'll obviously talk about more of this when we get into reacting to this week's playoff rankings, which again, the chaos. But the thing that a lot of like college football purists leading into this year was like, oh, the portal and paying players and 12-team playoff is going to water down the sport, and these games aren't going to matter, and it's going to make. I think this has been one of the most fun years of college football that I can remember in a very long time. So, yeah, we'll certainly talk about the ramifications of what happened this past weekend. But yeah,
if college football is that drunk, how do you think they're doing sports betting?
Don't ask me. I've been on a bad run.
Join the crowd, bud.
Poor run of bad luck as of late. Like this week, I tried and obviously NFL different than college, but I tried to go let's do some like safe bets, to just get instead of trying to do like the $2 parlay that pays like $25. Let me just do like a $1.25 one that pays like $9. Like let me just build a little bit of that capital back up.
You can't do it.
Nope, absolutely not. Nothing. Nothing.
No, Vegas has everybody right where they want them because everybody's panicking, everybody's reeling. They're going to make some bad plays. Throw that one inflator into their parlay that destroys the whole thing.
Yeah, just sucks.
Yeah.
So goddamn rude.
Sean, what did you learn this past weekend?
What did I learn? Well, I don't know that it's anything super new, but there's a 1A and a 1B. I learned that as far as everybody that talks about the quarterback only MVP award, Saquon Barkley taught me that he's got something to say about that. Saquon Barkley with arguably the performance of his life. And yeah, I mean, I think that's something we learned is that Saquon Barkley is going to be a name in this discussion for the rest of the year. The other thing that I learned, and I hope that some other people learned, is the effect that Saquon Barkley being effective and the running game being effective has on everything Eagles related, from Jalen Hurts staying calm, throwing balls away, not throwing into as much traffic, from the sidelines looking calmer, from players looking rested. I feel like just in general, like some of the panic buttons that I was not pushing, but like opening the glass door over earlier in the year. First of all, the coaching, especially early in the games, has been better. But what I noticed was a calmer Jalen Hurts. And the big thing Saquon doing well does is it keeps the media out of Jalen Hurts' face. And I think that helps Jalen a lot because everybody wants to talk to Saquon. They want to talk about the potential MVP run. They want to talk. I don't think Saquon cares about any of that. I mean, sure, he'd like to have one. But I think, man, 2 yards before getting touched, a full yard or more ahead of where he was last year. I think he'll take that all day, awards or no awards. So I think the running game's alive in Philadelphia, and the NFC East looks like it's just opening up for him. So,
NFC East race.
It's a whole bunch of things that revolve around Saquon Barkley, and anybody who thought he was overpaid going into the year, suck it.
Sports media talking about it the last couple of days that moved this because it wasn't. I don't think he was even third like immediately after the game, but he is now third in the odds. Allen still one, Lamar 2. Saquon 3, Jared Goff 4, Mahomes a distant 5. Distant.
Jared Goff at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, you would need. I mean,
I think it's just recognizing how good the Lions are. Like that's
you would
pretty much
need the Bills and Ravens to tank pretty hard to move him up. Here's the thing. I think Jared Goff is more important to the Lions than people give him credit for, because given with the exception of one game where he threw more interceptions in that game and they still won than he did the whole rest of the season. That guy just doesn't turn the ball over. Like, give me that every day.
He's had more games with like under 4 incompletions than I think quarterbacks have had in their career this year.
Yeah, he's insanely efficient. I don't. Here's the thing. He won't win it, but I don't think it's that far of a stretch that he's.
No, that offense plays to his strengths, and like they're not asking him to do much more than that. And to be honest, he doesn't have to. But when that's what you're asked to do, there's some quarterbacks that still can't do it.
Yeah.
So and as far as I'm concerned, Saquon's sitting at 2 because I think Lamar Jackson lost that award when he couldn't beat a team that didn't score an offensive touchdown in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like when your defense holds a team to a handful of field goals, though that is still 20. I get it. It's still 20 points. I get it.
Yeah, I kind of disagree on that because again,
but I think you got to outscore him if you're the MVP.
That's just the silly nature of that rivalry. You still have another game against them. Plus, you have a big game against Philly this weekend where you can show up.
That would help. Yes.
All right, Mikey B, what'd you learn this weekend?
What I learned this weekend is that it's finally time to stop talking about Patrick Mahomes III being this guy who find a way to win football games, and let's start giving credit to that defense, because that defense is the reason why he has found a way to, quote, win football games for them and put himself in the top 5 of the MVP and do the things that Patrick Mahomes does. Because here's the reality of the situation. Not great, Bob, against the fucking Carolina Panthers.
Nope.
Yeah, not. Yeah, that's an understatement of the year.
Coming off of him not looking that great on the road in Buffalo either. Maybe we need to have a conversation of, the defense and Andy Reid's play calling and schemes and things along those lines are the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions and the reason why they're a team that's in contention to win the AFC this year. I'm not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes. He's a good quarterback. He's definitely deserves to be in the top 5 of the MVP because I don't know that the Kansas City Chiefs would be as good without him. But I think if they had Jared Goff, if they had Lamar Jackson, if they had Josh Allen, if they had a serviceable quarterback with as good as that defense is, they would still be a playoff team.
Yeah.
2024 Patrick Mahomes is not the same person that he was in the last 2 seasons, where it just felt like every time they needed the big drive, it always happened. Yeah. The Buffalo game, the big drive had to happen. What did he do? He threw an interception. Now
I'm with you, Mike. I just lit somebody up online today for the same thing.
I know. I saw your comment on Ernest's post. It's what brought me to this.
It was.
I wanted to talk about it more, but I didn't want to say it in text because I was also driving home from picking Jackson up from school while I was reading it, and I was just like,
where he's like, it's about more than just stats. I'm like, well, you're right. It is about more than just stats, because like the issue is that in years past, the offense and Pat Mahomes, the years where he was an MVP candidate and probably rightly so, he was putting that defense in a good situation. It was still a great defense. Mm-hmm. But when that defense all of a sudden is facing a one-dimensional offense and has a 14-point lead in the third quarter and is able to kind of sit back and know what you're doing, makes it a lot easier. And that makes you the piece. And I'll give it to him. He's finding ways to win games late. But right now, he's leaning on that defense. He's putting more pressure on that defense. And to this point, they've responded. But, one rough injury, you have the Lions have had several and have managed to survive that and don't look much different. But I feel like the Chiefs probably can't survive that many if Mahomes is going to keep playing this way. And it's just that slight separation, not in numbers, but just in the ability to kind of dominate the talk of your town and dominate the the general flow of a game that he doesn't seem to have right now.
Yeah, I mean, here's a case, and to student the game's credit,
And I've got to
over the
move
course of
my
the year,
head
he's
that
been
he-
talking about the Chiefs really kind of being a defense first team. So, case in point, you look at the Lions a couple weeks ago, they lost Aiden Hutchinson for the season. And their defense really hasn't missed a beat. Still playing extremely well. They lost another piece last week. Still playing extremely well.
Both at outside linebacker.
Yeah. Well, Aiden's a defensive end, but yeah, you're outside pass rusher.
Right.
Chris Jones is the equivalent in Kansas City.
Yeah.
You take Chris Jones out of the Kansas City Chiefs, that is a dramatically different defense. I'm not saying that they're going to completely fall off the cliff, but I don't know that the Chiefs can recover. He is the Chiefs MVP. I mean,
Right
Mahomes,
now, I would argue.
Mahomes is great. Nobody's going to tell anybody differently that Mahomes isn't great, but yeah, they are a defense first team. Their defense is the reason that they won a lot of these tight games. If they didn't have that unit playing the way it is, that they are not a 9-1 team.
I mean, if you look at the Chiefs' schedule, one team has scored 27 or more points. It was the Carolina Panthers this week.
That's crazy. That's
but
crazy.
Mahomes has 3 games where he hasn't thrown for over 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Patrick Mahomes, and I get it. For a while, the cute conversation was he's throwing to Juju and Xavier Worthy. They went and traded for D-Hop. D-Hop hasn't been his leading receiver in any game that he's played in.
Nope.
They have 5 of their games they've won by less than 5 points.
Yes.
That's defense.
100%.
That's defense, folks. Like, and outside of that, there's 3 or 4 other games where it's been 7 points or less.
Yeah. Well, and Andy Reid helps in a close game in the second half. There's not a coach in the league I want more than Andy Reid on my sideline. So that helps a ton. And some of those, quote, big plays to win tight games have as much to do with Andy as they do with the man throwing it. But, yeah, I mean, it just hasn't been a standard Chiefs year by any means.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing I learned, besides the Dallas Cowboys not even understanding how to tank properly, is that there's only 3 or 4, at most 5 teams that I think I think.
All right, EJ.
Well, no, like if I'm actually putting the market at 4. If you want to make an argument for a 5th team, there's only 4 teams that I think that I'm confident can actually win through the college football playoff and win a national championship. The rest, I mean, there's teams that will maybe pull an upset in the first round. We'll talk about the rankings and where the current projected bracket looks here in a minute. But like there's 4 teams at most that I'm actually confident sitting here that can actually win through the entire bracket. That I could sit here and see the path. Yep, this team could go all the way. This team could pull off the win in the biggest matchup in the semifinals and or the finals. Because like I said, there's teams that may win in the first round, but I don't see them capable of carrying it the whole way.
Yeah, there's some teams that you're like, well, if they had a good 1-2 game, lineup, they could get to the third round. That doesn't mean that they're
right.
That they belong there. It's
right.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think you're seeing in college football a lot, I alluded to it in the NFL last week, where that cream is starting to rise and you're starting to see some weaknesses and you're starting to see some flaws. And I don't know, maybe NCAA is drunk, man. I don't know. But whatever the case, I think you're right. The only teams playing sober, the only teams ready to fly, probably count on one hand.